All right. You want to introduce yourself?
Oh, geez. Let me find my business card. I'm Patrick Flanigan. I'm the Digital Humanities Center Programs and Operations Specialist and MLIS librarian at the Digital Humanities Center at San Diego State University Library. How's
Nice.
that?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a good one.
Yeah.
Right. And you just won the President's Staff Excellence Award. How did that feel?
I mean, I'm honored. It's very humbling. It was very surprising. So it feels good. It's nice to be appreciated and but it was very surprising, you know.
Mhm.
Um yeah, it I don't know. It wasn't anything I'd ever imagined because I just didn't think like that's not things that I expect to have to experiences I expect to have, you know. So
Mhm.
but it was cool because I think I was trying to explain to somebody, it's like, well, I get my reward when I'm helping people or helping people with different classes or events and stuff. So it kind of came out of the blue. I'd like been away for a while and came back and then yeah, discovered it. So it was
Yeah.
a surprise and shock. So,
Yeah.
but
Well, definitely well deserved. I mean, you do so much for the center. Um, and I guess how did you come on this path? Because you went to SDSU and then you did your master's in Missouri and then you came back. It's Missouri, right?
yes.
Okay. You
Yes,
came
that's okay.
back.
It's okay.
Um, and you did like library science, you did a lot of work with like digitizing, preserving things. And so how did you end up on that path?
So I didn't I shared some the article that somebody wrote about this award with somebody I went to library school with, and we're both of the same age. And I was just like, yeah, this wasn't what I thought my path would be. Um, so this is kind of a very long answer, but it was a very long, crooked path. So as a student, when I came as a student here, I really wasn't interested in being a student. I was really just interested in being in San Diego and being in bands. And I left a small town in Central California to do that. So I probably wasn't academically focused, but I got a job in the library. And that working in the library kind of helped me in my band life because I was telling somebody like, oh, I would shelve books, see a cool picture, photocopy it, and use that for a flyer, like some
Mhm.
cool picture of like old movies or something.
Mhm.
So I was always kind of finding ways to game this academic thing. And then when I graduated uh, an undergrad, it was a recession. So everybody went into grad school, and I graduated with a psychology major because those were the only classes I was passing. Um, I mean, it's probably not the best thing to admit, but I think I flunked out of after my freshman year, and they let me back in as long as my grade point average went up. But I was writing lyrics and calculus instead of doing calculus, so I came in as a biology major, and then I had to pivot to a major where I was passing classes, and psychology was I'm like, well, I'm doing well here, so let's stay here because I didn't
Yeah.
want to have to go back home, and I enjoyed living here. So from there, I go to my experience here after I graduate helps me get a job at National University in their library, just because I guess I had a library background. They
Mm.
hired me, and I learned how to catalog books while there for like 8 or 9 years. And it was back when we were in Mission Valley. And even then, it was like, okay, well, this is my day job, and I do bands at night. And then from when I get that job around the late 90s, I had already started learning internet and HTML and writing code by hand and doing stuff like that. So I had internet skills, and I was offered a job doing tech support for a electronic greeting card company,
Mm.
which is very odd. It was called BlueMountain.com. Um, and it was really popular if you were alive in 2000. And like my mom and all her sisters, these old ladies loved them, but it was kind of cheesy. But I got to work there. While I was there, I taught myself Flash,
Mm.
the animation script, which is very often talked about in electronic literature, and Jessica Pressman
Mhm.
knows it very well. Um, and that by having that experience, when my son was born, um, we couldn't afford to live here, so we moved to St. Louis where my in-laws live, and it was obviously much cheaper than California.
Mm.
But I got a job at the University of Missouri St. Louis because I knew Flash.
Oh, wow.
So it's always accidental, like
Yeah.
it's never intentional. And then once I was working there building Flash animations and stuff for their university web pages, I thought about going into organizational psychology and getting a master's because they would pay my tuition.
Mm.
And then I built a page for their library called the Mercantile Library. It's like an old library. And I did a lot of digitization there. But um, the person there just made me kind of remember I kind of like working in a library.
Mm.
So then I applied for my MLIS and got that. So got into grad school, got my degree, and the goal was always to come back here. And ultimate goal was to come back to San Diego State because I felt at that point you get old enough and you go like, well, that was a really transformative experience, and I enjoyed that environment, the academic environment, that it's routine, but it's always changing. It has to stay
Mhm.
current. And so my goal was to come back here, and it didn't quite, it took a while. I got to a gemology library in Carlsbad, and I have no interest in gemology, but I could catalog books, and it got me out of Missouri. So then I worked there for 5 years, and then I applied to a cataloging job here, got that, and I was doing that, I guess, up until about 2.5 years ago. But at maybe 3 or 4 years ago, Pam and when Pam's built the Digital Humanities Center, I'm like, oh, that's a cool place, and talked to her, and we start talking Audacity, and I'm like, oh, I use that all the time for music, and she's like, oh, maybe you could help me because she wasn't familiar, and so we talked, and then it got started where I would just tell people Audacity, and then I got more integrated into the podcasting institutes and stuff, and then she had some staff, I guess, openings. And where I was working, I just kind of was burned out on. Um, and I was offered this position. And it's just like, I mean, I would have dreamed of this position where I get to use things I enjoy and interact with
Yes.
people publicly.
Yeah.
So it's a very crooked path. I don't think I intended it, but I'm very, very appreciative I've landed here. Like this is it for me. There's never going to be a better job for me that fits me. So,
Yeah. Well, I
so
mean, it sounds like you picked up so many different skills along the way. So even though you're saying it's accidental and wasn't intentional, I think it's really made you who you are. And like you said, this is the perfect place for you. And all those little steps like brought you here.
yeah, it's just like I don't, it probably makes for, when I probably should plot it out and watch how crooked a path it is, like using some digital tool. But yeah, it was just weird. I'm like, oh, I want to know this. And then, I can use this skill I've developed, because usually I think I was learning HTML to make a band website.
Mhm.
And then I was learning animation to make my own goofy cartoons or something. You know what I mean? It was like
Yeah.
picking up skills or doing things to kind of serve my own needs. And then I'm like, oh, I could do this. I could incorporate this in a professional career.
Mhm.
So you
Yeah.
just never think like, well, who's going to pay somebody to do stupid cartoons or something? Yeah.
Anything in Missouri that you like miss, or were you just like, I can't wait to get back to California?
Uh, I mean, I have my friend there and I have some family there. I mean, there were some things I did enjoy, but it was very big. I've California my whole life, so it was a very big culture shock.
Yeah.
Um, I missed Mexican food like badly. Like after
Yeah.
about 2 years, we just stopped looking. Like it can say it on the sign. It's made for the palate of the Midwest, no matter who's cooking
Mm,
it. Um, I mean, there were some things like there's things about the Midwest that are kind of nice in the summer, but yeah, for the most part, no.
mm.
Like I would never live back in Missouri. I would go
Yeah.
visit, but I wouldn't.
Yeah,
No.
fair enough.
Yeah.
So you're mentioning, you want to make cartoons or like you were making things for your band. And so you have all these interests that are like outside of just the DH Center that people might not like realize. But how have those influenced the work you do? Because you mentioned like Audacity, knowing how to use that already for music and things, but anything else that has kind of brought in, or even I know you do like disc golf. Has that ever somehow like,
Um, I mean, disc golf, it's like weird because disc golf fits my personality, but I could, some poor kid could have the misfortune of coming in here and I could say, well, this is like disc golf. And I'm sure my kid's grown, but it's like, I I think it teaches me it's like, well, what shot do you have? You can't think about what you can't do. You have to kind of be in the moment and present. And so it's like, well, if I threw something behind a tree, my only shot's coming out from the tree. So this is what I have to work with. So you kind of it's definitely a resilient and what using what's available.
Hmm.
So okay, well, there's only this one way out, and you become more resourceful. And
Hmm.
I always tell people when I'm like practicing or playing, it's like you need to know how to get out of trouble, but you have to get into trouble to know how. So you
Hmm.
got to learn your escapability, but you sometimes have to trap yourself,
Yeah.
So I think that comes into play here. Like if something doesn't work or there's a technical issue, I have to come up with something and I have to have had enough experience to know like, well, we could do this if we had to,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah. Well, speaking of being resourceful, you mentioned that you have a very like DIY punk, mindset and background. Has that always been something that you've been, or is that like kind of grown with experience and then knowing like I can do this myself?
I think it's definitely probably always been there in a sense of like, well, you're not going to get up. I think I think of it as a musician or whatever. It's like you're not going to become super good and people are going to fawn over you and just give you a recording contract. But if you want to do this, you just got to do it.
Hmm.
So, you're going to start in a garage with your friends and then you're going to start at somebody's party and then you're going to start, but you kind of have to be doing it and you have to take the agency of yourself. Like, okay, well, we got to make a flyer and we got to do this. Like, you have to. And for being in that like early 80s punk culture and stuff, you learn that it's very grassroots and a lot of people are very supportive, very much like, and I was just talking to somebody that was in here a few minutes ago. Like, this is very much like the culture of when I grew up. It's like you were showing people, like, no, you need to talk to this guy in San Francisco. That's the people that will help you book a club and they'll help you figure out where to go. And, so you have to form connections and you
Yeah.
become reliant on the community.
Hmm.
But the DIY, I think it's just kind of something out of necessity. And, you may not always have money to buy the best equipment or something. So you might have to, my first drummer, I remember he had cymbals that he got at a pawn shop and they were all cracked, but that's
Oh,
all we had. So it's like,
yeah.
okay, and we did what we could. It's like, well, we were doing it, but yeah. And then you just always tend to build on that, I think,
Hmm.
if that makes sense.
Well, kind of talking about that financial aspect, you now working in the DHC for a while, you kind of helped Pam work on the budget. And so, how has that been kind of seeing this financial side of it, trying to offer these resources, but then, having to pick and choose or be like, we need these tools, but we can't buy all of them. How has that impacted how you view these as resources in like public libraries, public schools?
Um, I kind of see it I kind of see it a couple different ways. I think for me, so coming in here because of the pandemic, we had the fortune to have not spent anything for a few years. So we had a
Mhm.
backlog. And as we started to open up and scale back up, it's like, well, we can do this. I mean, we can buy good stuff.
Mhm.
And then as we started doing that, you could see like we can use what we have to the benefit of others. So I think that's what I think of most is like we have a certain budget to begin with. What is something that benefits the community or the people coming in? So with the podcast studios, like, well, we can build a really good one really good studio with good mics and get a really good board, and it'll sound really good. And that's a little bit step up from the Yeti mic and doing like, we can do good things and polish things. And as you do that, you kind of see how people embrace it. So like I always talk to kids here, like if, there's the back door where people can go play and record and practice for
Yeah.
free. I'm like, that was just never, there were no things like resources like that. So for me, I enjoyed making sure that people could come here and, use the resources, whether it's the eLit room or the learning glass or something.
Mm.
It's here for them. They don't have to worry about having the funds. It's like everything's here. Just show up and talk. If you
Mhm.
have a laptop, I can show you how to edit. You know,
Yeah.
it's really kind of maybe lessening the big hurdle to get into it
Hmm.
because so many people think like, well, I'd have to buy this, I'd have to buy that, or I'm like, or
Yeah.
you can just come here and record,
Yeah.
you know. And so that I think to me that's the big responsibility. But it's one of those things like you see like just like it's expensive to be
Hmm.
on a campus to have the tools needed. You know, the digital divide, it's like you kind of have to have a laptop or something.
Hmm.
You know, even Chromebooks are kind of not always a good thing to play with here. And I feel it's like it's our duty to help give people the option if they don't have it, if they can't do it themselves. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
that's great. I mean, that's a great mindset to have. And I would
I
hope more
mean,
people on campus would have that mindset.
I don't know. I mean, I'm always like, oh, if I, you know, I'm always thinking of like sharing or something like that. But
Mhm.
I that's how I try and sell like our space. I'm like, all you gotta do is just show up. You know, I
Yeah.
got it all, it's already here. I
Hmm.
mean, that to me is like going into a studio and they have all the best amps and the drum sets already there and all that. Like, you know, it so I think having when you kind of knew those challenges growing up, you kind of appreciate it. And then you want to make sure you're sharing it. Like,
Hmm.
because when you see it being appreciated, that's what really makes you feel good. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
do you have any future plans then for the DHC? I know you guys just turned one of the podcast studios is like upgraded now. So now we have
Yeah. So we
three.
did,
Uh,
yeah, we have now three multi-track studios,
yeah.
which we're thinking with getting more visibility, more people are going to start coming in.
Mhm.
We had some people that have used various other places on campus. And what I like is that we're open to faculty, staff, or students. So I had staff come in last night to talk. Their
Oh.
family does a film podcast.
Oh.
They work in HR, so it's like, yeah, come on in, you know. But
Hmm.
they can't go to the faculty resource center and they can't go to the back door. But this is something, you know, it's kind of like a creative gym in a way. But
Hmm.
um, I like that, and we are also seeing that as much as there's the DIY single Yeti, people now visualize sitting around tables with headphones and those mics that they see famous podcasters talking into. And then when they hear themselves, they're like, oh my God, this is great. So we're kind of realizing like, well, everybody wants to drive the good car. So
Yeah.
maybe we gotta buy another good car.
Yeah.
And we can make that work. And even our students working here gave us the feedback last semester, like it's actually easier to do the multi-track to just
Oh.
set people up because
Mm.
there's more options and it's like, well, if we're just gonna, you know, if it's one person or four people, we'll do it.
Mm.
Um, as far as big plans, it's always kind of we're always working in play with the bigger community. So we're gonna have a bigger an exhibit that'll be in play in the space this semester. So
Yeah.
Pam and I kind of joked like, well, I guess we don't have any big main events in the main space because there's a exhibit going on, but um, you know, we think of always adding to the eLit studio. We're
Mm.
probably going to be at least one iPad we getting a more current iPad and getting
Mhm.
more apps that support e-literature like Pry. So I'm looking forward to that. One thing I've seen in the Latin Resource Center, and I would love to get here. We're just waiting to make the right push for it. Is it's a digital marquee that could be on the columns vertically.
Oh.
So I know we have our one like um, digital display over the door, but I think it'd be so
Yeah.
cool to have a rotating display that's in our
Yeah.
center columns that can have stuff. So because we now have more artwork up in this space, but it'd be kind of
Hmm.
cool to utilize those. I've seen
Yeah.
it done somewhere else, so now I can ask for it, you know.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah,
speaking of the eLit studio and even just your background as like a cataloger, digitizing things, a lot of your work has kind of been in archiving and preserving things. And so how has that, one, I guess, how did you get into that? Was that also just kind of a accident? And then how has that influenced your own view of these resources? I'd say, especially right now with the big AI push. And so, that's being trained on people's data and the students
yeah.
here and their data. How have you kind of viewed that? Sorry, that was like a couple questions in
Yeah,
one.
that's okay. So far as like the cataloging and stuff, I think it met my need to solve puzzles, but it also, I think, it met my need to help people discover. And I'm somebody that likes discovering things, so I'm always like, oh, that's cool. I think I'm just forever foraging for new things or something, or information or knowledge, or um I don't know, but it's like I always liked learning things. And I used to say I never felt smarter than when I was cataloging books because I was just absorbing information that I probably wouldn't come on. And then I learned how to find things. And I enjoyed saving people time by how they found things.
Mm.
Um, and then, it's kind of funny. Um, it was okay, but like I remember, so when you get into the later 2000s and some of this early online culture of things like Napster or file sharing, right?
Yeah.
I used to just so we all did it, but whatever, because I mean, to me, to be able to have portable music is like, that's like one of the best things to happen to me.
Yeah.
But it was just so much was wrong. Like people were just naming the artist wrong or naming this wrong. And you're like, ugh. Like you just really realize like there needs to be kind of gatekeepers that are saying, this is what it is and this is who it is. This is not, I don't know. You would just see some things and you're like, what? This person did that song. And it's like, that's not even close. It's the
Hmm.
wrong artist. They just didn't know, but they
Yeah.
just, you know.
Hmm.
So the controlled vocabulary, the needs for controlled vocabulary, a controlled metadata schema, it's what makes a lot of things work. And it can work for good, but when it doesn't work, it's so painful.
Hmm.
So I don't know. And then there was another part to the question. I know there's the
Um,
AI part, but was there another
yeah.
part?
Um, no, I guess I'm also wondering maybe your view then on like accessibility, because I do
Yeah.
agree with, you want people to be able to learn and being able to access all this, but I guess when is it kind of like, no, this needs to just die or this needs to just age out and that's okay? Or
Um,
are you not in that camp at all?
I'm in a weird camp. I mean, everybody kind of has their where they stand on the AI thing, and I'm very much AI assist because it's very good, especially if you do editing and stuff. Like
Mm.
if you can line up those two segments and show me like those things, like thank you for doing that. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Or matching a sound wave. I gotta say, I kind of like Shazam as somebody. It's like, oh my God, what is this? Oh my, what? And then I can hit
Hmm.
Shazam and know, and I'm like, oh yeah, like. And so I do appreciate things like that. But at the same time, when it comes to generative, like, well, then it's not an organic um, evolution of things from the past. It's like a really bad mashup. And I think AI to me, like I know many people that I in my circle where often if we're like, is that AI? It's pretty bad. It's
Mm.
just like if you see something bad, you assume it's AI now.
Yeah.
Like it used to be CGI, now it's AI, but um I kind of yeah, I kind of wish that it was definitely more controlled
Hmm.
or managed in a way that it's like I don't know, they always say like the AI, if you could say future, all you do is see representations of what the 60s thought the future was or something.
Yeah.
Um and and it has so much garbage in it, just like we're talking about Napster. It's a perfect
Hmm.
example. Like, well, everything's there, but it's not what you think,
Yeah.
and so I I kind of want, and I also think I kind of want people to work a little bit,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know, um, but it's weird, but I think, but I do understand some of the challenges. Like if I was struggling with something, finding a solution, there's so much emphasis now on asking the right question.
Hmm.
Have to phrase the question in the way that the computer thinks. You are translating to a
Yeah.
computer now.
Hmm.
Where I had somebody that was putting together exhibit, he could show me what he needed. I'm like, oh yeah, I know what you need.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know how to type sometimes I don't know how to type the prompt.
Hmm.
And especially if because it's a language thing, it might mean something different. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah.
I think I kind of like my view in a way of the AI thing is kind of like it reminds me of the internet because I've already lived through that whole
Hmm.
thing. And it's like there were people that just thought if they had .com they'd make money. And there's people
Yeah.
that and then the phones, it's like, oh, if I have an app, I'll make money. It's like
Mhm.
you got to meet a need. And with this
Yeah.
AI stuff, I'm like, right now we're in that. Everybody thinks it'll do something, but if it's not meeting a need, it's useless.
Yeah.
And it needs to serve the humans in a positive way.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Help me figure out what that song was in the brewery. And it's like, why didn't I know it was the Buzzcocks? I don't know. But
Yeah.
now I'm like, oh yeah, duh. So
No, I use Shazam a lot too, actually. And
yeah,
sometimes it's embarrassing because I'll be like in the store and I'll kind of be trying to hide that I'm holding my phone up to like the speakers. But yeah.
yeah.
So there's definitely,
My
and
wife
that's
and
like a
I,
use, like you're
yeah.
saying.
I mean, it's funny because we were going to use it. My wife and I were going to settle an argument, and I thought the start of something was a different song, and she thought it was something else. And I'm like, no. And we both went and listened to the songs. I'm like, well, here's the part I'm hearing, and she's hearing another part. And I'm like, we just wish like Shazam would have settled it.
Hmm.
So, but it's weird,
Yeah.
you know. So
All right. Well, shifting gears, you host the New Adults SD podcast with your daughter, right?
yes.
She just finished her senior year. And so, and then obviously you work in the center, so you're around like a lot of college kids. And so, how has it been, going through all this like kind of tech culture and everything, but around all these like younger users and their views of tech since they didn't, grow up right as it was kind of booming like you did, they just went right into it.
Yeah, it's interesting, but and I mean, I think it's a two-way street. So I'm helping them and they're helping me. So the how some people might want to use text, it's like, that's not how I would do it. Maybe I wouldn't want to put things on the cloud where other people
Mm.
where some people are totally comfortable, and I'm like, nah, I want a hard file and I want it backed up, and
Yeah.
I want my folders, and I want a little bit more control and ownership. And then I see things like because like how they don't know maybe how to download files and install sometimes, or like communicating like how to manage files, like to my own kids, like don't, manage your files. I'm buying you external hard drives. So
Mm.
then you should back up all your projects to that, and then
Yeah.
you always have it. Um, my daughter made this great piece of art in high school. And I said, it was a sticker. I'm like, I wish I had a bigger thing of that. Do you have the file? And she's like, no. And I'm like, why didn't you back it up?
Mm.
And that didn't even occur. I'm like, but that's
Hmm.
like,
Yeah.
now it's like lost to time probably, but I think it's good to be around it. And I see people, grabbing a tool and using it a different way. I'm like, oh yeah, you could do that,
Hmm.
So, and it might inspire me to maybe use an older tool in a different way.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So it sounds like younger has like a lot more trust in just kind of this loose tech and knowing like, oh, it'll be there versus you are much more like, no, you need hard copies or hard files saved somewhere.
Yeah.
That's a big
I mean, but that's
difference.
because I got the longevity and like I've lost things.
Hmm.
So like, oh, where's that? Things used to be on tapes, and if the tape was gone, then you've lost your, it now longer doesn't exist. So I think when you've lost things where my daughter probably didn't ever think, because everything's probably been around or something like that, to not think to, for me, it's like anything you create, you should have your own copy of. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, I don't know. I think sometimes they're probably a little more trusting, but I mean that the tech companies kind of make it that way,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but they're born digital, and it's really interesting to see how they use things.
Hmm. All right. I just got an alert that said it's going to end in 10 minutes. I don't know
I
why
don't.
that.
I'm fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, because I still have a few more
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
So just in case it ends, I might like send you
Okay.
a
Yeah, we
link.
can just reconnect.
Yeah. Um, So I want to ask about punk rock drum machine. You've been in that for what,
You're the only
15
person that's
years?
probably like, this is probably the very only ever interview of Punk Rock Drum Machine. That's so funny. When I
Really?
got
That's
to those part of your
crazy.
questions, I was like laughing. I was like, oh my God, it's a
I did
band
some
interview.
research.
Yeah, I just thought that was funny. You're very kind. So,
Well, so
yeah.
how has your music evolved over time, especially with your work and everything? Maybe one, not having as much time to do it, but also just learning more, knowing how to work with audio better. And also saying that you don't play live. Any
Okay.
reason?
Yeah, because no one wants to see me live.
I'm sure that's not true.
I don't know. I mean, everybody says that. And then I think, I don't know, because I've been in different bands. And so like I have one friend, my one guy that I've worked with most of the time, he just wants to play all the time. And he'll be in a cover band, he don't care. And I just like creating.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't miss being out late and like bugging my friends like, hey, I'm playing, can you show up? I don't want to push obligations on somebody. So I like creating it because that's the part that rewards me. And I'm like, here it is, it's free, you can have it if you want.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, I'm just doing what I do, but I'm not gonna push that obligation on anybody.
Yeah.
And then it's also too hard. And I think I always playing live was never as rewarding as creating to me.
Mm.
So I can get it right on a recording, and then it's like, okay, I got that right. But when you mess up things live, you just remember how you messed up things live.
Mm.
I don't
Okay.
know.
Hmm. That's an interesting take on that.
Yeah, I don't know. I know I'm very not the norm in that regard because I have a lot of friends that are like, yeah, we got back together. I'm like, I've shut down a couple reunions of other bands where I'm like, no,
Oh.
pass.
So
Um,
how's your music changed then over the like 15 years?
it's it's kind of changed a lot. So I think my first time I did something under that name was on like they had these, it's funny because it was a cassette machine. This is weird, old tech talk. A four-track cassette, a four-track recorder, so you could do four independent tracks, and it was on an audio cassette, like a car, the classic
Mm.
cassette. And we had used that in '87, and my drummer bought it from the place after they were going to get rid of it. And he let me borrow it in '98 and '99. And I was using like a browser drum machine or something, and I was just doing it to do it. And that was really weird. And I didn't have good mics or anything. And then when I got to Missouri, having so much downtime due to weather and having a basement,
Mm.
I got to become more home studio and using
Mm.
Audacity and using the rig I have now, which is like an 8 track. Um, it was a good learning thing, but I think as I started doing more podcasting and stuff, I think the thing that I feel like I pulled in the most is really learning how to use Audacity's evolved a ton, but how to use that and manipulate things. So I know now I could just record all the music. I could come in and do vocal tracks separately in Audacity, or I could manipulate it in the production and blending and mixing audio differently than I would. So I
Mm.
might do more on the digital audio workstation part where I'm actually looking at the audio files, where before it was all levers and
Mm.
headphones.
Yeah.
So I think I've definitely gone into like applying things of like podcasting and voice capturing, and
Mm.
from the different things I've done here, I'm like, ooh, I could apply that to this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What instruments do you know how to play?
So I don't, I mean, know how is different. The instruments I play are guitar, bass, keyboard, although I don't really know how. And then I use a drum machine. And then I don't know, I had a cello at one time. I mean,
Oh.
I can kind of pick up some. So my approach to music, and this is probably, I think you had a question kind of similar. Like I'm like I know how to do what I want to do,
Hmm.
and I just kind of focus on what I want to do. So
Yeah.
I might not know how to play a great guitar solo or something, but I can play the solo I want to play. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I play things I want to do, but I couldn't, be Eddie Van Halen or anything like that, or whatever, or play even keyboards. Like I've gotten better the more I do it, but I like playing with that. That was a
Hmm.
new instrument that I've done
Hmm.
more of late. So
Who is this little robot that's on like a bunch of your like covers? It's something
It's
you
funny. I
drew?
just drew a picture of him. So this is me being me. We had some remnants left over from the poster. I don't know if you've seen the big ELIT banner, but this is vinyl.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I could draw on that with a Sharpie. So I did this to test it out. But it's just the punk rock drum machine robot. I don't know. It's like,
Okay,
that's
he
another
is the
case of I know
machine.
how to draw that. So I used to cartoon a lot. That was like my first love was drawing. But so when we had all these extra pieces, I'm like, well, I can make cool stuff out of that. So that's my DIY kind of in action, but it's like it makes me laugh. I don't know. It's just a robot I know how to draw.
Yeah.
And I probably took inspiration from some of the artists that were doing like hand drawings. If you think of like the Sonic Youth Goo cover or
Mm.
um even Devo had a Boogie Boy mascot or like different things like that. I was like, well, why don't I just draw something?
Yeah.
I mean, it was easier for me to do that than pick photos at the time. And so I just thought, well, I just kept drawing them for a while. And
Yeah.
so and I can draw them in like 5 minutes at the
Yeah.
most. Like everything's like that. It's whatever. So
No, he's great. And it's like you said, it's really part of your whole DIY punk, culture.
it's yeah, it's so goofy and dumb, but I kind of do it. So, I don't know. But that was my like, oh, I wonder if I can draw things like on this vinyl
Mhm.
remnants. So yeah.
So you play instruments, you make music, you draw, you do podcasting, you do disc golf, you are a fan of Arsenal, and you work here. What do you
Yeah.
do when you relax?
I'm
That.
disc golf. Yeah, but they're all passions, so it's all stuff I enjoy. So it's never, I mean, one of the things about working here is it really doesn't feel like work
Yeah.
unless you're doing like heavy lifting. But for the most part, it's like you're engaging with people and you're helping people. So it's rewarding and it doesn't feel like labor in
Mhm.
a way, in the true sense of the word. So um and disc golf is its own, everything's its own thing. Um but yeah, it's just what I do, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
No.
think I'm one of those restless people that need to be kind of doing something.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
this is a good place for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Let's see. I have a couple more left.
Okay.
I'll just hit them with you quick. Are there
That's okay.
any favorite events that you hosted at the DHC over the years?
Um, I always like the showcases. Those are fun. I
Mhm.
mean, the end of the year because you get to see everybody celebrating and Pam gets to be celebrated, which I really get to see her enjoy it. Um, I enjoyed the comics panel. I always like network narratives. That one's always fun because then I'm working with people like yourself and other people, and it's kind of like, all right, let's put on a show, let's figure it out. You know what I mean? And it
Yeah.
evolves. It's a little different year to year, but it's similar. Yeah, I really enjoy those. I kind of like it when it's like a challenge, like, oh,
Mm.
okay, let me figure out how I do that. So
Yeah.
I,
Also, the live podcasting event was
yeah,
that.
that was a challenge. That was
Yeah.
interesting. And then I've already figured out how I could do that better.
Oh, nice.
But I had to do it wrong to know how to do it better.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So, any like dream guests at the DHC?
trying to think who. I'll think of something, I'm sure at 3 in the morning or something, but anyone that's doing anything cool, whether it's artists or music or filmmakers or people that are kind of pushing boundaries. Um, yeah, and honestly, I think my dream guest would be something that like the community wants. Like I'd like to have an event where everybody's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that person's coming here." Like Mark Marino came and there was a lot of excitement. So I don't have anything for me, but I would like to have something like, "Holy cow, we got this going on."
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I would be fine with that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So with all these like interests and everything and your like kind of DIY and like, restless, stay busy work ethic, is there any like inspiration from any specific artists, musicians, athletes, or that have kind of that you emulate like your work style off of or that you look up to or draw from?
Um, I would probably say I mean, because I think I'm older, I look at kind of like my heroes that are older now, but still very true to themselves. So I think of people like Chuck D from Public Enemy or Ian MacKaye from Fugazi, people that were able to kind of still be a positive force with their musical efforts or their um, cultural efforts, and that um, they're still doing it. They're true to themselves. They didn't bend to the will of the corporate entities of, they did their own labels, they built their own platforms, things like that. They still run their own shows. Kristen Hirsch is somebody that's been an independent artist. Like she was one of the first people to like crowdsource even back in like 2000, where people would don't, she built her own website and sold like her first album online
Mm.
after getting out of her contract, and has been self-sustainable and still kind of operates that way and still seems to do it with a joy. So,
Mhm.
um, but yeah, those I kind of look at them as like, they're it's easy to kind of just go, okay, well, I don't need to do anything or say anything, but I like people that are still like, no, voices need to be heard, or still doing quality stuff and active. They're probably maybe they're just restless like me and they just want to keep doing stuff, but they're using what they do in a positive way. So
Mhm.
and helping others. I always kind of see it more as like, okay, well, your people were very kind to me when I was younger, and I'm trying to make sure I'm returning the same thing, like kind of the more uncle kind of
Mhm.
culture where it's like, okay, it's now your job to help people.
Yeah.
Teach them. Like I always get excited, whether it's, the new adults or somebody else, like this is your band, this is your chance to say things, this is your way to get your thoughts out there or communicate some things. And so I like that. I'd like see helping people,
Mhm.
encouraging people like you can do the things you want to do. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that's
yeah.
great.
So
With all like the work you do, like I'm thinking mostly of audio, does it ever become maybe even bothersome because you notice it so much more? Like, are you ever watching a movie or TV show or even football game and you're
yeah.
thinking they could be doing the audio better?
Yes. I think I don't know how much I've said this to other people, but I am like, somebody brought this up yesterday. So every kid that comes in, and I feel bad, I'm not trying to be derogatory when I say kid. Kid means, I mean, people are kid, and if you're younger than me, you're a kid. I don't know. But they get on the mics and they start talking and touching the mic and they go ASMR and they make these horrible noises. And I'm like, why would you want to fall asleep to noises I want to remove? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and somebody was like, no, but it sounds like a clicking fan. I'm like, I would unplug the fan. Like, I don't. I'm one of those people like I can't, I think I've trained my ears to edit, so I don't know how to not hear it. So I mean, I've pulled cars over in Montana. I'm like, we got to fix the squeak in that cooler. I can't take it. Um, when you talk about like movies and stuff, my wife and I just gave up on a show because it was so annoying that it's like you could hardly hear the dialogue, and then transition music comes in and it's so loud. I'm like, like, okay. So yeah, those kind of things. Sporting events, definitely not too much. They do pretty good. But yeah, there's times where I'm like the audio like bugs me. That's the thing I always tell people about, when I'm doing podcasts, like what's the number one reason for a bad podcast? It's bad audio.
Mm.
So it's one of those that bugs me. I don't try to be a snob, but I'm like, they could do better, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Or if I hear some big movie star that's doing a whole bunch of interviews on some podcast, and it's like he should be able to have a mic that's better than his phone. You know what I mean? That's on his, I
Yeah.
don't know. There's just one of those, it just kind of frustrates me. But yeah, the audio and stuff like that, it's hard for me to like let go
Hmm.
and go, oh, okay. No, I can't. Like I can't watch people do podcasting and storytelling form and then not be correct about it. Those things bug me to death. Like there's no way they're getting audio that's usable on that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I remember we watched, what was it, What We Do in the Building or something, and they actually had the board we used, but they still weren't using it right. It just,
Ah.
I don't know. Yeah. I was just like,
Yeah. Just your
yeah,
butt to bear.
yeah. So I get a stickler for that, or I don't know. but no, yeah, it's funny you asked that because it's just like we just like okay, we gave up on that show. Like I'm
Mhm.
tired of writing the volume. So yeah, but
All right. Well, I've got like one more question,
okay.
mostly. It's mostly about your style.
Oh,
You're always wearing that blue LA hat. And you wear like shorts and your Vans and your high socks. Have you always rocked this kind of, punk band kid style?
I mean, this is just me.
Hmm.
So like the joke was when I used to work at in Carlsbad at a corporate library, I would change in the parking lot into what I had to wear. And we just called it the librarian costume because I just don't hate it. I
Hmm.
mean, I just hate it. And I mean, once my hair went the way that hair goes, it either goes gray or goes away. I was like, well, I need to keep my head warm or out of the sun. And I've always been a Dodger fan. My dad was a Brooklyn Dodger fan. So I've probably been wearing these hats since like 1989.
Hmm.
And I just Vans and socks. Yeah, I don't know. I wear the same black shorts because I bike to work and I got these short. Well, so I'm like, I got these shorts I like and these are perfect. So then I buy 5 pairs. So then, I don't know. It's not an intent to style. It's just kind of maybe an aesthetic. Like all I have to think about is maybe the t-shirt or the socks. But I probably go through 2 hats a year. Um,
Okay, so you don't have like multiple. You just have like the one, and then you wear it out.
like this is the work hat. And so
Okay.
this hat stays here because it's got the World
Oh.
Series Dodgers on it.
Hmm.
And that's to, kind of tell the Padre fan kids that were chirping at me all last year to be quiet. Which is fine. It's all right. We can have some game, but it's like, uh-huh. But I have a hat here that's here at work, so I don't have to travel with it. So I get into work and my hat's already here.
Hmm.
And then I have a couple hats at home. And then, but it's always like a Dodger hat. So it's just easier for people to find me because if I take my hat off, people can't
That
find
is
me.
true. Yeah.
Yeah. I've
And
had,
every like picture I looked up or like saw of you, you're in that Dodgers hat. So
yeah, it
it does
helps.
make it easy to find you.
It does, unless like one time my wife and I, we've gone to like 37 ball games. And I remember there was a time, I think we were in Tampa and there was like a big Brooklyn Dodger celebration. So there's all these other Dodger fans and our kids were small and we got separated. And I just remember the text like, I can't find you. Everyone here is wearing a blue hat. Because we were from the Cardinals, when we were in St. Louis, everybody was Cardinals in red. So it was very,
Yeah.
but I remember like because I didn't wear a hat at my other job, if I saw people from my work in a hat, they never knew it was me.
Mm.
It's like I don't have the Clark Kent face
I was
where
about to
I don't
say.
know. If I wanted to like be undercover and get out of here without being seen, I would just take my hat off and no one would know. Just another older bald guy.
Yeah.
So it's not, I appreciate you asking. No, and the socks are just kind of becoming their own thing because it's like, well, what else can I buy?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I mean, that makes it even cooler. You're not even trying. It's just your
I
natural
don't,
style.
yeah. I mean, I'm always like, oh, those socks are, I kind of tend to go towards the ridiculous. So, like when they came out with the ring socks, I'm like, well, these are stupid. I'll buy those. I don't know. Some reason with like something, if something comes to me as stupid, I'm like, that's ridiculous. I'll do that. I tend to embrace that.
Mhm.
But my wife will often say, like, how many more pairs of black Vans or how many black t-shirts do you need or something like that. But,
Mhm. I
you
mean,
know,
I have like 20 pairs of Vans like upstairs.
yeah.
So I'm with you.
Yeah.
My
I'm
favorite.
like, okay. Oh, look, they're on sale. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They're so comfy.
Yeah. They're
So
my favorite shoe. And yeah.
mhm.
And then I'm one of those like, I'll have different Vans for different things and try not to wear them. Like I'm trying never to wear anything out. I'm always trying to prolong longevity of the
Yeah.
hat or the shoes or the socks. So
Mhm.
yeah.
All right. Well, anything else you want to shout out or talk about?
I don't know. I was trying to think. Was there anything I didn't answer?
No, I think
Okay.
I kind of got through everything. I
Okay.
didn't do them in the same order, but I
Yeah, yeah. No,
have.
it was very, very organic. I liked it. I've made it much easier on me. So I
Hmm.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
to just and to respond to you. And I'm so used to talking to you and stuff. So,
Mhm.
um, but yeah, I'm very honored to win this award and really work here and be able to just, I think, having interviewed some people for the upcoming semester, I appreciate hearing how welcome people feel here. And it's not by mistake. And we try and just make, and I think sometimes when you talk about my style, like I'm like, this is just me. And I was sometimes people say stuff. I'm like, if I try and dress up, I look like some authority. If they just look at me like some guy's old dad, then it kind of, it's like, oh, he's whatever,
Mhm.
Like if you came into a comic book store, you might see a guy like me or something. You know what I mean? So I think it kind of disarms in a way. But I try and feel comfortable, and I think I try to pass that on to people and let people
Mhm.
feel like, hey, come in here and collaborate and learn stuff or create stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, you're literally like the heart keeping that place pumping. You've helped me with projects and yeah, the
yeah.
award is definitely deserved and the DHC is very lucky to have you.
Well, I thank Pam and everyone for the nominations and the supporting materials I put out. That was quite overwhelming. I mean, you do a good job when people are happy and things work, and that's enough for me. But this was very much a bonus and nice, like cherry on a cake that I didn't even know was coming. So, it's really cool. So I,
All right. Well, I hope your semester goes amazing. I can't wait to see what more you guys do.
yeah.
I think I just have one last question. Is it true that you support the Arsenal Football Club?
Oh, 100%. It's on my business card. It is the only thing I really like. Um, yeah, it's on my business card that I am an Arsenal supporter. And yeah, that's just like, if you think about things that are always running through my brain, it's always about whatever's going on with Arsenal.
Okay.
And then the
Yeah.
kids, I mean, whether they like Arsenal or not, a lot of the people that come in, they know they can come in here and talk soccer or football, or I'll put on the Champions League games. But I'm a very, very big Arsenal supporter. That is probably to the annoyance of people close to me. So much so that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, people were wondering. I had to confirm.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's like, oh, is that true? Like, yeah, yeah, a bit, it's so sad because like everybody that comes in, it's like they're always a fan of another club. Like I rarely
Mhm.
meet other Arsenal supporters. It's so funny, but but if you know the game, you can talk the game, whether it's baseball or soccer. But yeah, but I had to order more business cards, and I said you have to make sure the Arsenal supporter thing's on there because I think to me, it's Arsenal very much embodies they're very well intentioned club in the way that they run their business and stuff. So
Okay.
I feel proud. You know what I mean? I don't have to go like, oh, that's embarrassing when they do these things.
Mm-hmm.
But they're very diverse, multicultural,
Oh, okay.
welcoming. So they're in the part of London that's very much the Brooklyn of London in a way. And
Oh. Hmm.
I've just been a fan of them for a long time and appreciate, I just enjoy watching them. But it's
Yeah.
like, so.
Well, I'll have to look into that. I've been wanting to get into soccer, but I
Oh,
don't
you
know where
couldn't
to
do better. You
start.
couldn't do
So,
better than Arsenal. I'm telling you right now. Like seriously, I mean, we've only been second 3 years in a row, so we're getting close. But they're
ooh,
a good team to watch. Play football that just is fun to watch, like entertaining, and yeah, it's never boring. That's for sure. But
okay.
sometimes it's more uncomfortable than I like last Sunday. So, but yeah.
All
So
right. Well, I'll get into that then.
okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
All
Bye.
right. Bye.